Hi, my wife had a difficult cancer for 3 years and passed away in 2012 when our kids were toddlers. So I've made videos in these topic threads behind me, which you can skip around. For more on our story, you can watch the video on our background. This video is in the thread on parenting. This is a continuation of the video on parenting and truth-telling with your kids about traumatic events. In part A of this two-part overview of parenting, I gave some context and some examples of what we said to our daughters on key points. Here in part B, I'll continue with examples and go even a bit further into example scripts for how to help kids understand the anger, embarrassment, resentment, and loneliness they might feel. But it's also important to give them the okay to have fun in their life and to give them a few goals that they can keep their eye on to remain balanced. I'll then close and pick up other topics in other videos. In part 1, I talked through a list of these 8 points to address in conversations where you give kids news. We'll pick up with example language for point 4 and keep going, including into additional topics to surface like anger, loneliness, and fun in the kids' experience. You might be thinking, oh great, that sounds like a party. On top of all of this, I get to talk about anger and loneliness with my kid? And yes, all that and more. But in my experience, these have been the foundations of open conversations and advice that I can give my kids even now in their teen years. For point 4, you sometimes just have to talk about your hope, even when you aren't sure what will happen. In situations where you know the outcome, you change the language and focus here, and I can do another video on that. We said, we hope she can be okay, and the doctors are going to give her medicine to help her. We can talk more, and we will tell you how it's going in the future, or whenever you want to know. For points 5 and 6, for smaller kids, we said, I will still be able to pick you up from school tomorrow and the next day, and put you to sleep and get you dressed and make breakfast and dinner for you. When you do have to be away or miss some event like a school pickup, you can draw a visual calendar showing a few days on some paper and talk it through with them, writing the names of the people who will be with them and when until you're home, and then you can count the days. The last 2 points in the basic script are easy enough to do, I think. But I do want to spend a little bit more time on a couple of extra talking points. The topics are anger, embarrassment, resentment, loneliness, and fun. And I think it's important to talk about with kids so that you can normalize and allow your kids to feel and express all of them. For anger, you might say, it's normal to sometimes feel mad that this is happening to us and to you. You might not know others right now, but it's just what happens to some families, and you're not alone. You might also give them room to admit they're embarrassed by the situation and say something like, teen embarrassment about parents of any kind is normal, and you might feel anxious to be seen with a bald parent who looks sick. That's okay, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. Over time, we can all move on to thinking about what matters inside of people, but that takes time. Also, other kids might be anxious or awkward around you, and there too, it takes time for everyone to find paths to navigate through new territory. But it happens. For resentment, you might say, you might be asked to take on more chores or just feel the weight of extra things on your mind and resent that. That's normal. We adults feel it too. It's normal to think this is unfair, but when I think, why me, I try to also think, well, why not me? This happens to some other people as well. Other people have different crosses to bear, and this is just my situation right now. And to address loneliness, you might say something like, you might feel like no one else understands and that you're alone in dealing with this. That's normal, and it can be true that no one can know your exact experience. But there are people around you who care to listen, and some have experiences that help them understand and be with you. It's hard to do in life, but we and others will try to always listen and meet you if you can try to let us know what you're thinking. And for fun, which is super important, make sure they know it's okay to have fun around you. You can say, it's also totally okay for you to have fun and to forget all of this and just laugh. In fact, it's important that you do exactly that if and when you can. Maybe it's not side-splitting fun, but having moments you enjoy every day. Even just little things like, it's great weather and this meal is delicious, are important to allow yourself. Your mom wants you to have fun and enjoy your life, so go ahead and don't feel guilty about it. Hopefully you and I can do some really fun things together, and maybe we can come up with some plans. And you can also make some plans with friends, and we'll make sure to carve out the space for you to do those things. Lastly, you can set out some small goals that they should keep in mind for the coming weeks. Getting healthy sleep, getting exercise, having some fun, and keeping up some of their social interactions and hobbies. You can tell them that you'll try to help these things to happen for them because they're all good ways to support and foster stability during times of strong winds blowing. You can then summarize with some focus on whatever upside you choose. You could say, "We're sorry that we all have to deal with this, but in some ways these can be important life lessons that you can't get any other way. We don't have to be perfect in learning or mastering them, but we think this can make you stronger and more capable for the rest of your life, and that's our hope in the coming weeks. And remember that there are lots of families who went through this and are doing just fine, looking at this in the rearview mirror and having fun together. But all of them at some point went through the shock and concerns that we have right now. We'll keep talking to you, and please talk to us with anything that you're thinking about." And that's it. Once we had the script, we practiced a bit and then just did it. Those are the conversation starters that we learned and what we said in order to let our kids know some of what was going on, what they could expect, and that we wanted to be helpful during the stress. We learned it was important to discuss rather than compartmentalize, and I hope some of these examples are helpful. See you in another video.